one thing where I think we've made progress is on the definition of war itself. So war is state on state um, uh, activity, and and traditional war, of course, involves armed conflict or physical force. In my view, it's not necessary to use both terms, armed conflict and physical force, because they mean the same thing. So I think it's helpful to define war in with that level of clarity. So war, the other feature of war, of course, is that it's there's a threshold factor in war. So all hostile state-on-state activity is not war. So espionage, for example, is not war. So, which is why the LMA clauses talk about impacted states where there has to be major detrimental impact on an essential service. That is addressing the threshold factor to take it beyond espionage to war. So I think that we have seen a degree of progress. I'm not an unqualified fan of some of the concepts in the second limb of the war exclusion, where it refers to civil war, rebellion, revolution, insurrection, and so forth. I mentioned earlier that the NMA 464 clause was drafted in the aftermath of the Spanish Civil War, and I think this is a hangover from the use the replication of the NMA 464 language, and I would like to see that taken out of a war exclusion, and so that the war exclusion focuses on state hostile activity which exceeds a certain threshold, and is less concerned with internal civil disturbance, because there are threshold issues in civil disturbance, for example, because when does a riot become a revolution? When does civil disturbance become a civil war, and so on? And I don't think that it's easy to answer those questions. And most people in this debate have been focusing on the first element, so the use of cyber means state on state, but it is fair to point out that these war exclusions are including internal civil disturbance within the war exclusion, and that is not straightforward to apply from a coverage perspective.